Finally, you're even a pain when giving birth to a kid. Hey. Take this. It's a divorce form. Listen up, just because you had a kid, don't you start getting cocky. If you do, I'll divorce you on the spot. You wouldn't be able to live on your own if I divorced you, right? Instead of offering comfort after childbirth, my husband ridiculed me with a triumphant look on his face. The divorce form he was flaunting in front of me already had all the necessary parts filled out, even the witness section, as if to add insult to injury. Fine, let's get a divorce, just as you wish. Seeing me easily accept his demand, my husband frowned. There's no way someone like him could ever be a good father to our precious child. My name is Emma. I turned 37 this year. I married James 8 years ago. I had wanted to have a child right after we got married, but we were not blessed with a child for a while. We tried timing methods while I kept track of my basal body temperature. James even quit smoking, and we both made an effort to eat healthily, but our efforts were in vain. At first, James was supportive, telling me not to worry too much. However, as time went on, he started to change. Every time I got my period, he would frown upon seeing me drown in sadness and crying. At the beginning of our marriage, being just on the brink of my 30s, I was confident in my youth and thought that we could naturally conceive if we timed it right, so I did not go for fertility treatments. As time without conceiving passed, even though I felt that we should clarify the cause, I had lost the will to discuss it as James's attitude began to drastically change. Hey, being a homemaker must be nice. You don't even cook much, yet why can't you get pregnant? Seriously, you're just a freeloader without any value, not even the one thing a woman's supposed to be good for. You're really at the end of your rope. I couldn't find any words to respond. It was a decision we made together to work on having a child. Yet, James acted as if I was entirely to blame. I wanted a child too. But did I really want a child with this man? Each time I got my period, his harsh words made me want to give up on everything. Even our nights together were just for formality's sake. My body tensed up around James, and it started to hurt. I no longer had the strength to continue this cold marital life. Yet, I harbored a faint hope somewhere in my heart. Maybe, if I was blessed with a child, he would return to the gentle person he once was. Maybe then, he would be kind to me again. And then, after all our efforts, I got pregnant with our first child. When I saw the positive response on the test, it felt like a dream. I had been so disappointed every time it turned negative before. I couldn't believe it. I was actually pregnant. But just because the test was positive didn't necessarily mean the pregnancy was normal. I decided to visit the doctor to calm my excitement. You're about 6 weeks pregnant. Hearing this from the doctor made me remember everything we went through. And I was so moved that I couldn't find the words. I was so curious about when James would come home that I ended up sending him the ultrasound picture on my phone. I'm pregnant. But James's reaction wasn't what I had expected. Even though he read the message, he didn't reply. Was he that busy at work today? Was he too swamped to even send a single reply? As the afternoon turned to evening and then night, James finally came home. Trying to suppress my anxious feelings, I greeted him with the best smile I could muster. James, welcome home. Hey, did you see the photo I sent today? Yeah, I saw it. I'm pregnant. I was so worried it might have been a false alarm, but it's true. I showed him the ultrasound picture from today, showing the gestational sac of our baby. However, James didn't seem very excited. I see, congratulations. I'm just really tired from work today. And with that, he went into his room without trying to make any further eye contact. I was left standing there, dumbfounded. I had fantasized that if only we were blessed with a child, James might return to being the calm person he used to be. That illusion was shattered spectacularly. What should have been a joyous time quickly turned to tears falling down my face. Could it be that we'll never return to how we were before? And then, as I entered my 7th week of pregnancy, the morning sickness started. The nausea and the extreme fatigue made it impossible to feel motivated to do anything. I knew I had to eat for the baby's sake, but eating just made me feel worse, and I struggled to eat properly. I was at risk of dehydration. I talked to James and decided to go back to my parents' house for a while. Still, every prenatal checkup that showed my baby growing was a joy. Around the 15th week of pregnancy, the baby's form became clearer, and I soaked in the happiness of becoming a mother. I contacted James daily. "I hope you had a good day at work. Today at the doctor's, I found out our baby has grown again. Okay." He sounded distant, answering in a tone that suggested he was bothered. I pretended not to notice, even as it felt like my heart was breaking over and over again. In a corner of my heart, I still held on to hope. Maybe he just can't feel it being real. He's not here to see it, not seeing my belly getting bigger. Maybe once I look more like a pregnant woman, he'll start to feel the reality of becoming a father. Maybe then, he'll change, I thought. Without this belief, I couldn't have handled the daily emotional turmoil. I couldn't even bring myself to tell my parents about what was happening with James, carrying everything on my own. By the time my morning sickness started to ease, he hardly answered my call anymore. Still, I kept telling myself, he must just be busy with work, continuing to reach out as if nothing was amiss. One Saturday afternoon, James surprisingly answered my call after several calls. "What? You got something urgent? I'm busy now, I'll call back later." "Wait, He attempted to hang up before I could finish, and I heard a woman's voice in the background. I never thought I'd be cheated on. Was this the reason for his change in behavior? "Hey James, are you with someone right now? It's work-related. I'm busy now. Bye." And with that, he hung up. It took a moment to accept reality, but finally, I let go of the last bit of hope I had held on to. One morning, encouraged by my mom to get some fresh air for a change of scenery, I went outside. I must have looked quite different. The pregnancy had taken its toll. My hair was a mess, and my skin, especially the acne on my chin, was terrible. But even in such a state, the fresh air and the warm sunlight felt rejuvenating. I'm this child's mother. I need to stay strong. Imagining walking outside with my child once they're born lightened my heart a little. As I passed by a local supermarket, someone called out to me from behind. "Emma." Turning towards the voice, I saw a man in a suit. He started jogging towards me as soon as he saw my face. "Emma. It's been a while. It's me, William Miller. We were in the same club at college, though." "William. It's been so long." William was a college classmate of mine. Back in our college days, we were good friends, working together on club events and going out for drinks. I hadn't really been in touch since graduating, so it was a surprise to find him back in town. Long time indeed. "Are you working right now?" "Yeah, I hit the books hard and became a lawyer. Finally went independent a year ago after getting recognized by a senior attorney." "That's amazing. Are you back visiting your parents? How's your health?" Could he tell I wasn't feeling well? William, having some time before his next appointment, suggested, "Let's grab something to drink at a nearby cafe." I ordered the popular smoothie and opened up about my current situation. I told him about getting married after graduating and now being pregnant. The morning sickness was so bad I couldn't do any household chores, so I came back to stay with my parents. As our door smoothies arrived, I decided to confide in him. "This is kind of embarrassing to say all of a sudden, but I think my husband might be cheating on me." "Really? Do you have any evidence or anything you've noticed that makes you think that?" "I don't have solid proof, but there are times when he doesn't answer his phone when he's not supposed to be at work, and once, I called him on the weekend, and right before he hung up, I heard a woman's voice. Towards the end, I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. I felt embarrassed crying in front of a friend I hadn't seen in so long, but I couldn't bear the anxiety alone anymore." William looked at me calmly, without any sign of disturbance. After thinking for a while, he looked me in the eye and said, "I'll help in any way I can, both as a lawyer and as a friend." His words were a solid reassurance for me, who had been at a standstill. Overwhelmed by his kindness, I couldn't help but cry harder. Though I was aware of the stares from around us, William's words, "I'll be there for you, it'll be okay," kept the tears flowing for a while longer. Later, he introduced me to a detective agency his office works with. First, we had to find out the truth by investigating the suspected affair. Deep down, I had my suspicions, but as expected, the results confirmed he was cheating. The other woman was a woman in her 20s from his workplace. While I was away at my parents', he frequently met up with her after work, sometimes even bringing her home. I had wanted to believe in him until I saw the photos. I knew the kind man he used to be. But seeing such a clear betrayal, my feelings for him only grew colder. Once my severe morning sickness subsided, I decided, after talking it over with William, to go through with the divorce. The thought of him bringing his mistress to our home, where we lived together, made me sick. But for now, I decided to prioritize giving birth before moving forward with the divorce, considering my health. I'll be a mother. My unborn child is innocent in all this. Though the child is James's too, it's also my precious little one. I decided to start preparing to return to work as a single mother. Determined to protect the child with my own strength, I found resilience I didn't know I had, even when things got tough. Once I entered a more stable phase of my pregnancy and felt more settled, my parents suggested I move back home. The welcome I received from James was far from joyful. He ignored my visibly larger belly. If anything, he became even harsher than before. Struggling to move because of my heavy body, he grew irritated and sullen, ignoring me. Then, the next morning, I found the living room table covered in the words trash, slow poke written in permanent marker. Forgetting to turn off the bathroom light, I was met with his harsh words, "You're worthless." When he returned from work and saw me, he'd start saying things like, "Must be nice being a homemaker, just playing around all day. Pregnancy isn't an illness. Socially, you're meaningless." I was convinced we couldn't even have a proper conversation anymore. He seemed like a completely different person from when we first got married. Since I was advised to record our conversations as much as possible, I had William check the recordings during our meeting. "Emma, was your husband always like this since you got married?" At first, he wasn't like this, but as time went on without us having a child, he gradually changed. Even before things got this bad, there were signs. He'd get overbearing if things didn't go his way. Later, he'd be nice, so I thought it was my fault, but maybe this is his true nature. Not only did he disregard me, but he also brazenly cheated and wanted to dominate me. I couldn't understand such a mentality at all. I had no lingering feelings for the man I planned to divorce, but being constantly demeaned was painful. Talking it over with William for the divorce mediation provided much-needed relief. I was also discussing future plans with my parents, but William's specific advice as a professional was especially reassuring. His presence was a significant support as I approached my first childbirth without any hesitation. As the due date approached and the baby's arrival became imminent, the feeling of pressure in my lower abdomen intensified and my hips and back started to ache. When labor started earlier than expected, I grabbed my hospital bag and took a taxi to the hospital. I informed James, but he ignored it. As the contractions got closer together and anxiety set in, my parents stayed by my side. After about 8 hours, my cervix was fully dilated and I was moved to the delivery table. The baby's head started to appear. "You did great. She is a healthy baby girl. I managed to give birth to my daughter safely." The pain of childbirth was beyond imagination, but I was relieved she was born without any issues. The post-birth progress was good, too. My parents couldn't stop smiling at their first grandchild. Seeing them so happy made me grateful and relieved. While resting in the hospital, James came to visit during a time when my parents were away. Finally, "Oh, you're even a pain when giving birth to a kid. Hey, take this. It's a divorce form. Listen up, just because you had a kid, don't start getting cocky. If you do, I'll divorce you on the spot. You wouldn't be able to live on your own if I divorced you, right?" Instead of offering comfort after childbirth, my husband ridiculed me with a triumphant look. The divorce form he was flaunting in front of me already had all the necessary parts filled out, even the witness section. "Fine, let's get a divorce, just as you wish." Seeing me easily accept his demand, James frowned, dumbfounded. "How are you going to raise the child if you get divorced? You can't do anything by yourself, can you? Thanks for your concern. But don't worry. After I leave here, I'm going straight to my parents' house. I've already sent all my things there, so relax. I'll submit this divorce form when I leave." I snatched the divorce form from his hand, pulled a desk close, and completed my part of the paperwork. Him bringing a fully filled-out divorce form at this time was actually convenient for me. Presenting the evidence of his infidelity in front of a stunned James, I saw the color drain from his face. Wait a minute, Emma. This has to be a joke, right? Why are you taking this so seriously all of a sudden? As he began to panic and make excuses, a knock on the hospital room door interrupted him. Looking towards the noise, James muttered, "Who's that? Nice to meet you. Are you Emma's husband? I'm attorney William Miller." William, in his sharp suit, extended his business card, causing James to become even more flustered. William, perfect timing. Could you take care of this, please? I handed. James, this is Mr. Miller, my lawyer. That's why we should talk about future divorce arrangements through your lawyer. What are you talking about? Is it irritating you because I look like I'm getting too big for my britches? Seeing a side of me he had never seen before, James started to back away. Even I was surprised at how strong I could be, refuting James like this. Becoming a mother really changes you. William began to discuss the specifics of the divorce with James, mentioning we already had evidence of infidelity and routine domestic violence. He explained calmly that if James refused to discuss, we would file for divorce mediation or even a lawsuit. And if he didn't provide support during the separation, we would request a spousal support order. I've been the victim here, suffering through your unpleasantness, James retorted sarcastically, though he seemed somewhat deflated, realizing he couldn't say much in the presence of a lawyer. James left the hospital room in frustration. Though it took time due to his pride and concern for public appearance, our divorce was eventually finalized. It turns out his affair with a younger colleague started without any romantic feelings initially. She was just a charming colleague who admired him. Without a child between us and unable to treat her coldly, contact and outings led him down a path of infidelity. But no matter the cause, blaming and berating me for our childlessness was unjustifiable. A divorce was inevitable. After the divorce was finalized, I informed his company and explained the reasons. James and his affair partner, who worked in the same department, were moved to different branches with no contact. James was demoted from a managerial position, and the woman resigned after rumors spread. James, now taking orders instead of giving them, is still working, presumably to fulfill his child support obligations. As for me, I'm struggling but managing with first-time motherhood. Months have passed, and my baby's face is becoming more distinct and ever so adorable. She's become an irreplaceable part of my life, making me forget her father is James. While there are uncertainties about living as a single mother, the qualifications I earned during pregnancy empower me to live strongly for my child. These parts strengthen my resolve as I watch my daughter sleep peacefully in her stroller.